So this is my third time actually now watching this game, unfortunately, as I forgot to click record on my last run through of this, which really quite upsetting. But this is the second game of the finals between iBaWs and ZertoN in the 8-bit Ladder Wars tournament. And this is ZertoN down here in the red as Renegades, winner of our first game, against up here iBaWs in the teal light blue, who has also switched to Renegades, interestingly. So this is going to be an RVR, and RVR is a matchup that I know a decent bit about because it's the matchup in this game. The sort of probably most consistent race, one of the strongest races, arguably the strongest, depends who you talk to. If you ask ZertoN, he'd probably say they're the weakest, but, you know, everyone's each to their own, you know. But very consistent race, and a lot of people know how to play them. First race in the game, obviously. We're seeing slightly different build paths from each of these players, but the same build so far. And this is an interesting map for this. iBaWs obviously choosing this map after losing the first game, because this is a good map for Renegades, and a very versatile map for Renegades. Both ZertoN's more air-heavy style and JPS's tank aggression style are possible on this map. And so far, with both players building their tech lab, either one could be a possibility. Unfortunately, as I have now seen this for a third time, I do know what the possibility is. And I'm just going to spoil it for you right now, as, I mean, it's not much of a surprise. Both these players are going to go late game. They're both going to go for the air, but with slightly different builds. iBaWs here is building a second motor pool rather than getting more economy out faster. This will give him an advantage in the early game, but as the game gets later, Renegade versus Renegade essentially becomes who has more rocket choppers. And we're going to have to see if iBaWs makes any use of this second motor pool before going into a late game against ZertoN. Both players now harvesting from 2 places, although this extra motor pool, it seems, has also depowered iBaWs, which is not going to help, setting him slightly further behind as well. And the radar tech already halfway done from ZertoN, with units patrolling around the map to see what's happening. Now, you know, normally I'd maybe say, oh, well, is iBaWs moving out there? No, he's not. He just sort of holds the high ground. But an interesting layout from this base. At first, when I saw this, I thought that he was going to build out here and have a sort of free forked base coming out here. But 3 money spots for each player now. And ZertoN is going into those air pads, heli bays, whatever they're called. I don't know. I should really probably look this up, as they're one of the most commonly built buildings in the entire game. And iBaWs not far behind, but with that unpowering due to that extra motor pool and just the time the extra motor pool took to make, he is a decent bit behind, with ZertoN's first chopper coming out already, and not one to be seen from iBaWs. We'll have to see who makes the better use of these choppers now. Now, obviously, ZertoN doesn't know that he is ahead in this situation, and that iBaWs has a stronger ground, but iBaWs really needs to make use of this stronger ground at some point, because now he's just going into the air battle with less air, and perhaps he's resigned. Ooh, nice little wall hop there from the half star. I like seeing these little buggerinos. Just looking around if Chopper's not going to harass anything yet, it seems. Maybe waiting for a bigger mass, seeing as he knows that there will be enemy choppers to defend this when it comes. Throwing another unit in there just to check what iBaWs' army is doing and how big it is. So he has now seen these 3 choppers. He knows that iBaWs is probably on less choppers than him. There's no reason he would have held many back, and he's not getting harassed anywhere. So at this point, if he just can hold an attack from iBaWs. This can go on. Unfortunately, this is how a lot of games can end up going in 8-bit armies, because the defender's advantage is so strong that you really don't want to be attacking too much. And even though rocket choppers are a really good harass unit, you need to make sure you're in a good position before you throw too many of them away. Because if you just lose all of your choppers and get behind on choppers, you will then just lose the game. But ZertoN is sending out this set of rocket choppers to go and do some harassment, and this fight is brewing here. There are 8 choppers coming from iBaWs, and almost as many here from ZertoN, because he does have this incredibly big production compared to the much smaller amount of iBaWs, and this fight can go in favour of him if he gets some good positioning and can get a lot of these hits going on this motor pool. Harass back here trying to take out this, already killed a lot of the harvesters over here, and this fight is now starting up. He's got artillery on the high ground, his rockets are pulling back. A lot of the rocket troopers from iBaWs has gone, which means that his lack of numbers in terms of rocket choppers is even worse. Artillery from ZertoN doing really well here, cleaning this up. He's rebuilding this motor pool, which did get taken down. That's a lot of fire that was taken away from the rest of his troops by the motor pool, and he still has some choppers harassing in the back. They didn't manage to take out this, but they have cleared out these harvesters, and iBaWs is starting to try and mine from a 5th extractor now, but he doesn't have 2 harvesters over there, so he is actually only mining from 3.5 to ZertoN's 4 and soon to be 5. And with that attack held off, ZertoN is going to move up with his higher number of choppers, although in this fight he will have lower numbers because a lot of his choppers are around here coming for that harassment. There's a bit of a bad engagement there from ZertoN, but it is okay because his ground force is now so ahead because of the winning of that fight, and as well as his ground force being so ahead, his air is actually so ahead because he has had the better economy through this game. He can afford to do this sort of stuff and lose air by his main army, and this is going to go down now with rocket choppers coming in to defend. He also now depowering iBaWs, forcing him to remake his command center and putting him down onto only 3 harvesters has actually forced iBaWs into a horrible situation. This attack will be cleaned up, but ZertoN is preparing to push his forces up here to the left and take out some of iBaWs' production, and iBaWs is coming down this side to try and do some damage to ZertoN's production, but with the different sizes in armies and how many buildings ZertoN has more, this will not be a favourable base race. And perhaps seeing how many buildings ZertoN is ahead of him, iBaWs realises that he is done and throws out the GG.